Hello Capricorn, my apologies for your video, the first video being cut off, and so I was able to remember what cards came after. Okay, so I'm going to finish up your reading. So like I was saying at the very end of the last video, it's like you know a decision needs to be made, and there is some energy here that says like I really don't want to do that. There's resistance to that, even though you know it intellectually and on a soul level. And so then for the Page of Wands, which is how you show up for yourself and for other people, like what you show, like how you present, the clarification on that was the Hierophant, the Seven of Swords, and the King of Cups, which is really interesting because I had been mentioning the King of Cups as emotional maturity, okay? From, when I was talking about another reading I had done. And so when I clarified these cards in the first reading, I had two thoughts. One is, when you show up in this Page of Wands energy, kind of up for anything, kind of fresh and youthful, but still like in beginner energy, youthful energy, right? Because pages can represent children, okay? It represents that kind of approach to things. And in your reading, you had like 3 pages on the ground. A Page of Swords for your clarifying like your strength and wanting to learn and being a good learner, perhaps learning something new with regard to your work. And then there was there's the Page of Wands, and then there was not a Page of Cups, it was a Page of Pentacles. The Page of Pentacles was clarifying your strength, which was the Four of Swords, and it had an 8 of Wands and a 3 of Cups. So, and that was in not your strength, your protective energy, okay? And so basically my thought was, if you're showing up as the Page of Wands, and then you have the 7 of Swords in between the Hierophant and the King of Cups, is there something about you that you are denying or being dishonest about your own level of emotional maturity and like spirituality, your moral compass, okay? So there could be two things. Either when you show up as the Page of Wands, is there a deception in you about how you follow your moral compass and how emotionally mature you are, when you might not feel that way? Or is the 7 of Swords telling us that there's a denial of those things inside of you, okay? That you do have access to your moral compass, your spirituality, your wisdom, your higher knowing, and your emotional maturity, but yet there's like with the Page of Wands, it's like you're presenting that way. You're not fully stepping into those very strong energies for yourself. Because when we step into very strong energies like that, that is definitely head and shoulders above the rest, any kind of page energy, okay? And so when we step into those energies for ourselves, that is going to be how we show up, all right? That is going to be, that impression is going to be made upon those that we meet and people who see us and how they perceive us, okay? So I feel as though with the 7 of Swords here and the kind of in between the Hierophant and the King of Cups, that there has been like a avoidance or a moving away, a trying to avoid or omit these aspects of yourself, okay? And in the driving energies in the rear wheels of your chariot here with the Ace of Wands, it's like you're wanting a new beginning, right? And you have to walk away from some sort of toxic thing, some sort of dynamic, whatever it is. It could be codependency. It could be, you know, addiction of some kind. It could even be the way that you think about yourself. All right. And that's really interesting because with the Eight of Swords here, it's like walking away from toxic thinking about yourself in order to have, or even whatever situations, your life in general. And it could be like issues as they arise, you know, but ultimately walking away from this kind of overthinking pattern. And that is going to help lead you to your Ace of Wands, your new inspiration, your new opportunity, okay? To really walk away from that pattern of thinking, whatever that pattern of thinking is. You could be telling yourself that you don't have what it takes to seek that Ace of Wands, or to do this thing, to move forward, to step into these energies that are in the front here, okay? But the thing is if you're telling yourself you don't have what it takes, what these cards are saying is that you do, okay? You got the Hierophant and the King of Cups here. But with this Seven of Swords right in the middle there's a, you know, some self-sabotage happening with that, and some dishonesty, you know. Typically I call it my lying through omission card. And in this case, I feel as though you are omitting from yourself, denying yourself your own experience of showing up in an emotionally mature way, showing up in alignment with, you know, your sense of spirituality, your higher self, your moral compass. Like, this is basically, you know, like our higher wisdom, right? It can also represent consulting another person with that kind of mentor vibe, like somebody is mentoring us, or we need to seek that out, right? So, so that's my interpretation of that, is that your forward movement is fully dependent upon stepping into those energies, okay? And because with the Fool, with your new beginning down here, we have the Knight of Cups, the Ace of Wands, and the Ace of Cups, which is a brand new relationship. It's either a brand new relationship or leveling up of an existing relationship. Because in your outcome with the Eight of Cups, which in my interpretation is walking away from that dynamic that I just described, walking away from this stinking thinking, because it's paired here too, and the Eight of Cups is in your outcome. So you have the Eight of Cups here twice, to walk away from this overthinking energy. And what is clarifying the outcome of the Eight of Cups is the Two of Pentacles. It was the Two of Pentacles, the Four of Wands, and the World, okay? Now the World is very significant because it can say that you're closing out a cycle or you're leveling up. Now with the Eight of Cups, when you're walking away from this certain dynamic, and you'll know what it is, okay? The certain dynamic that keeps you stuck, that keeps you immature, basically. That's keeping you immature. When you walk away from that, you'll be walking away from going back and forth on things, being indecisive, and it will be creating a new stability for you where you can either create a new cycle or level up in the existing cycle that you're in. So with the cycles leveling up, the way I like to describe that is like, say for instance, if you have, you know, let's say you're in a program, you know, like you're going to a trade school and you are a student during that time. and then you graduate. So yes, that's the end of your fool's journey through that time of learning and that time of training and that time of internship, practicing, what have you. And then when you graduate, yes, it's the end of that time, but then you're leveling up to then being a practitioner in the field that you just studied in. So that's another experience of the world, right? So this is you're going to be able to decide for yourself, what this new cycle would be and how it would look and what it means to you. But I'm seeing a lot of wonderful things here. It's like when we want to step into the new, we need to step away from the old, right? And like I said, only you are going to know what this means ultimately. But to me, it would appear to be walking away from doubting yourself and like negative overthinking, or even stinking thinking where we think bad things about ourselves, like, oh, I can't do that, or this, because, and the invitation here is for you to step into your power, step into your emotional maturity, step into your moral compass. Any kind of forward movement that you want to make, you want to do it with integrity, strength, and being fully in alignment with who you are. Because the thing is that with the Page of Wands coupled with, the Seven of Swords and these two guys over here, that tells me that if you're not showing up, and this would indicate that you're not showing up in this way, you're showing up in this way. I just lost my point. That basically once you walk away from this, you can fully step into this. You could fully step into that emotional maturity. Yeah, that's what it was. It was the seven of swords there in the middle. And then with this resistance here, it's like, on an intellectual and a spiritual level that this is going to take a lot of strength to grow, to basically grow up and to develop and all the things, to step out of this energy and essentially this, the Page of Wands, to then step into this. And there is resistance here. Like the Four of Cups is resistance to that process, because that's a very individual spiritual, that takes work. It takes work. And, when we are really comfortable in what we know, we may not be happy with it, but at least we know what we got, right? It's kind of like that saying, like, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. And it is a tough thing to really step into your power and to fully claim it and own it. And, because, people might be like, oh, who are you? You've changed, or whatever, stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, I have. Sometimes we can change, and we could be changed and different and have shed old kinds of habits and ways of being in our lives. And the people who've known us the longest are like, they still don't think that we are the person that we've grown into. They can still treat us in a way that would suggest we are the older version, the past version of ourselves. So this whole thing of becoming a kind of a newer version of yourself, it's not like you'll abandon this like fun-loving, excitable, like let's go have fun energy at all. It's adding to it, right? It's evolving it. It's growing it. It's embellishing it. It's adding. And a lot of times when we do that kind of thing, it's a process. It's a process, and like people around us might be like expecting or projecting onto us that we are going to behave in the same old way that we used to. you know. And so a personal story here, when I was like, this is like 25 years ago, like I used to have a pretty hot temper, and you know, I still have friends from that time in my life today. And when I started to work on myself and you know, widen the bandwidth between stimuli and reactivity, I like widened that gap to where I could actually sit with whatever experience I was having and then choose to slow it down and respond to the situation instead of react. You know, for many, many years. And I had even become like way calmer and all the things, right? Because I was working on myself. And I had friends that were like, well, you know, it took them years to even see, wow, you don't really get pissed off like you used to. And it's like, yeah, that's kind of like 10 years ago, you know, like it took a really long time. So either way, that's kind of the example of what I'm talking about here and what came out in your reading. And, you know, again, my apologies that it got cut off at the end there. But, you know, essentially, this is looking really, really good for you, Capricorn. This is really, you know, you're being called on to do something that you don't want to do that's going to be uncomfortable. But, you know, whatever you have been thinking about and have been feeling with this High Priestess and this Queen of Swords over here, that's your truth. Like, you need to live in alignment with your truth. And, you know, once you're living in alignment with your truth and you're showing up in a very congruent way, then that is the mark of like a true human being, basically, is living in authenticity. Living in authenticity, right? In alignment. The outer matches the inner. And trust me, like, there are a lot of us that don't have that whole thing figured out, but then that's where the work begins. That's where the work begins. And everybody is a work in progress, okay? So that is what I have for you for the rest of your tarot. Yes, the other thing I was going to say about the outcome with the Eight of Cups, Two of Pentacles, Four of Swords in the World, it's like once that walking away from that old version of yourself is gradually had, then that will be the ending of like indecision and juggling and trying to be all things to all people and trying to keep all these balls in the air, and you're going to find your new stability. You're going to be finding your new stability because you're going to be leveling up. You're going to be leveling up to a newer version of yourself that really does call on emotional maturity and a strong moral compass for you, what that means for you, okay? And it very well could even lead to a brand new relationship here, or a leveling up of an existing relationship you may already be in, okay? So I'm going to pick some oracle cards for you, and then I'll close out the reading. Dog, friend. Aww. Today I will love without condition. My energy and enthusiasm are an inspiration. I choose to be happy. I am a protector and friend. Isn't that lovely? Oh, there you go. See, and when I was reading that, I thought about like, you're not abandoning that playful part of yourself. You're expanding it. You're adding to it, you know. Whenever we grow, it doesn't mean that we have to throw our old selves completely out. We nurture the parts of ourselves that are more in alignment with who we are becoming, and then we do shed old parts of ourselves that are not in alignment with the new part of, with the part of us that's growing, you know. So yeah, this stinking thinking, that's not coming with. That's not coming with. That is for sure. Acknowledging my desires. Very good. Because you got the Ace of Wands here twice. Very libidinal energy. New inspiration. New. All right. Today I will release the belief that my needs are never met. I will acknowledge my desires, then turn them over to my higher power. My wants and needs are not an accident. Spirit created them, and Spirit created me. So this is kind of a religious deck, and so, I'm trying to, respect everybody's viewpoint and things like that. But either way, this is saying that, like, your needs and wants are not vile and funky or bad or any of that stuff, So I'm going to place that over these two, this Ace of Wands here. Okay. Oops. Surrender comparisons with other people. Keep your eyes trained on yourself. Focus on your own strengths, attractiveness, and power. I'm going to put that over the devil and the stinking thinking energy. Yeah, that could be a part of what you need to walk away from, this stinking thinking, comparing yourself to other people, if that's something that you do, to keep, which in the finish doesn't bolster us up. It keeps us small, because not everybody does things in the same way, and everybody has their own qualities that don't even belong to that other person, that are completely unique to themselves and are beautiful, So it's kind of embracing the way that, it's like, embrace the way that you do something, right? And you don't have to be like other people. You could totally do your thing. Fully own what it is. When you fully step into how it is you want to live your life and fully own that, and like not judge yourself, because like, let's say for instance, the Fool, it's like, yeah, because there was something you didn't want to let go of earlier in the reading, but like, say that there's some, because this is all new, Knight of Cups, Ace of Wands, Ace of Cups. It's like, yeah, I want a new relationship. And, I've come to discover that it's like we live in a society that's like, okay, you meet one person, you got to be with them forever, la-di-da, and that works for a lot of people. And then there's so many different ways to do relationship. There are people who are, polyamorous, and then there are folks who just like a series of short-term relationships. Whatever it is that works for you, fully own that and step into it and claim it and let that be known, It's really important. Because if that's what makes you happy, that's what makes you happy. Bleeding Heart, Independence. Bleeding Heart helps you to recognize and strengthen the true source of your heart's power. It is impossible to sustain directing all your loving energy to external sources, or equally to rely on external sources to sustain you. Fill your strong, independent heart from within, so that you may offer love even when brokenhearted. Oh, yeah, that's a goodie. I'll show you that one too. Okay. All right, Capricorn, so that's what I have for you for the tail end of yesterday's reading, and you know, it's part 2. So if you've watched this part 2, then thank you very much for popping over. Again, my apologies for the technical difficulty. My phone like totally died or something. And yeah, remember to do all the YouTube-y things so this channel can grow and reach more people, and I will see you next time. Okay, thanks. Bye.